Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing something here like, hello, guys. Yeah, this is not the best for reactions because for reactions, I definitely have the light in front and I use my phone, which is this guy that I do everything with. So this is actually the one that makes pretty much all the job for now. Like I record everything, I edit everything, and I do basically like voiceovers and special effects, if you might call it, like stickers on my thingy. Hey Norman. Hey Norman Dixon, how's it going? So this is the one that does pretty much all the work for the channel. But what are you doing? I don't know, she's going insane. Look at this. What? What are you up to? Well, I'm testing stuff here, Norman. I want to try the live streams. Something that, as you know, it's going to be part of the Patreon page. But I need to make sure that I can actually pull this off without wasting everybody's time. So basically, what I'm doing right now is just testing everything, and I just want to make sure I can find something that can give enough light from the screen, which I haven't been able to do yet. So. Why would I possibly want to use this? Okay, so as a power of convocatory, I barely have it known. Pictures. Like I'm on the moon. What do you mean with that? Oh yeah, but, I mean, if what you're saying is that my images are pretty sucky, then yeah, I wouldn't have any other option but to agree with you in that one. I'm a portrait photographer and I'm a wedding photographer as well. So if you follow my photography Instagram, you will see that most of what I do is most portrait and weddings, and obviously quinceañeras because that's a very Mexican thing to do here. So um, that's pretty much what I do for photography. It's blurry, missing frames or something. From here, I'm pretty sure what's happening here is that my internet connection is pretty much the worst thing I've had. Of all the things that I have, like a crappy computer, a crappy phone, and a crappy light, the worst thing I have is crappy internet. That's probably the worst thing. And that's something that I cannot fix by going to another company. Is not something that I can make better because anything is just I cannot make it any better because my internet company basically cannot improve my internet to optic fiber. So I'm pretty much stuck with all the modems. And even though I pay the best connection is never going to improve because is this kind of connection. And the farthest away I'm from my modem, the worse it gets. And right here I'm at the furthest point of my internet connection, which for recording videos, like reaction videos, is perfect because I don't need the internet for that unless I'm using Netflix, but not on my phone on my recording device. But here, as a live stream, I do have to make sure that at least the broadband is enough for people to at least hear me out. Or maybe having to do all of this in a different place. I don't know. I'm still, this is why I'm testing this. And your input is pretty much telling me what I'm going to have to do next, Oh, right. Yeah. So this is my best guess in this moment, and this this moment is that my internet's just crap. I have to, or maybe next live stream I can do it on my living room, which is closer to my modem. Maybe that'll work. Oh, I got 4 people. My goodness, Retro. Hello, Retro 6502. How's it going? I didn't even try on what am I going to talk about because I didn't even get ready for that. My old posts. What you mean, like my old videos from YouTube, Jeff? Well, now I got 4 people. I can't believe this. I really can't believe this. But yeah. Well, my weekend has not officially started yet, so we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow because I'm still working, as you can see. I'm setting things up for future live streams. Yes, this is a live stream thing. Yeah. So my old videos are always on track because I edit them, but as this being a live stream is kind of difficult. Favorite that I'm reviewing right now. Well, I have to say, I mean, The Boys has always been a kind of a dear one of mine because I was actually reading the comic book before I and started watching the series, but I never really got to finish the comic book. But of course, I'm liking Star Trek a lot because of. I think I'm liking it much more now because I am realizing pretty much everything I've seen of sci-fi so far basically is related to this. So at some point, finding all of these references from Star Trek that I remember from other movies, from other series, from whatever else, that or even comic books that I read before, and then I kind of feel my phone. Shit! I almost killed my phone. This is why I can't have nice things. I can still have a nice thing. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is pretty much why I'm liking Star Trek so much right now because of all the references and all the points that I can go like, now I get where they got that idea from. This is pretty much why I'm liking it. But I was reviewing Snowpiercer about a year ago, and then I kind of stopped liking it, and then I realized that nobody was watching it. Uh, and to be fair, it's not a bad series. It's just that I was expecting a bit more gore in it, and it didn't get that much gore. I mean, it does have some, but not as much as I expected from the movie. So it was kind of a disappointment, but that's just me being a sick person. So, you're a nice thing. No. Uh, I don't keep people as things, so no. The next generation. I know from all the polls that I've made so far, the next generation is probably the one that's been the most voted out of everything, and I'm pretty um, conscious about me having to watch the next generation right after I finish watching the TOS series because it's an obvious sequel, even though I might not be taking into the animated series, which is like the logical one, but I'm definitely gonna have to go for the new generation. If by some miracle I can actually speed up watching all 30 episodes from all 4 seasons from the original series. But yeah, and the thing is that if I watch the new generation, then I'm gonna have to watch Picard. And don't tell me don't, because I'm gonna have to do it because I love Patrick Stewart. So I'm gonna have to do it. Captain Dunsel? Listen, I'm still a newbie here. I just know the first season and the 3 movies that everyone keeps saying they're shite. So just don't expect me to know more about more characters. So Captain Dunsel, I don't really remember Captain Dunsel. I'm gonna have to Google that one for you. Okay. I hope you're not spoiling me. Anything. Done. Uh, Memory Alpha. Okay, you got me. Like, it's an episode that apparently Picard is useless and utterly unnecessary, but it's Patrick Stewart, so gonna have to watch it. So I'm here. Oh my goodness, the thumbnail for my live stream looks like I am stoned. No, this is horrible. Okay, okay, composure. Let's. Man, this is horrible. Give me. Okay, let me do a recap of what am I gonna watch. The searchers, my classic reaction. This okay. Here's yeah. The ultimate computer got 6 votes, so I'm gonna have to react to it. So, hey Jeff, the other Jeff, Empire Jeff, how's it going? I like both Kirk and Picard. But nobody's just like Captain Pike, is he? None of them. So, whatever. My videos look like I'm asleep. Well, there's people who look cute when they sleep, and there's people who just look like me. Like someone got really pissed in a pub and that just couldn't get awake in 3 days. That's me when I sleep. I know. Stop it. Like I see myself on the screen, and I look pretty fine so far. So. Well, I already looked it up, Norman. I look, yeah. So for once, Flash is awake. There's a good news because of how crippled he can be sometimes. He just got some food, and now he's gonna take about 20 minutes before he can actually sit down and lay down. He's gonna take about 13 turns before he lays down, and all you're gonna hear is his little nails like click, 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 click. That's the second turn. I wish I was making this up, but look at him. There he is. Doing another turn. This is like the 5th turn is done. And he's going for another turn. And he's going to continue doing that. And Robin is clearly not caring a lot about what Flash does now. Do you care? No, she doesn't, because she gets the bit all for herself. So that's a good thing. All right. So basically, I think this test will be. I can call this already a test, considering that my internet is shite and I'm pixelated all over, but you can hear me. So that's a good thing in case I need to just vent out and then erase all the live streams and there's no record of me saying anything. And so, yeah, that's a good thing. So, I don't know. I always thought I was going to be inundated by questions on a day I would do a live stream, but apparently, because, at this point, I have actually no idea what to say. Oh yeah, you know what, I wanted to discuss the last episode on Star Trek, the first season. I wanted to, like, what the hell did I just watch, man? That was okay. Just the one thing about the aliens, those things that stuck on the back of Spock's back. By the way, if you're a patron, you should be able to watch the episode by now. So, uh, like, it's already uploaded on my Streamlayer website, so you can watch it there. So one of the things that I have to say is that those aliens look disgusting. Like, absolute this, yeah, like flying pancakes. I thought it would look more like old fish. It looked as like the shape would be like when you just take the fillet of a fish and just open it like a butterfly cut, but then you just left it on the oven, you left it on the oven, you never cooked it. It looks pretty disgusting. And then the idea that whatever it lives inside of your body is going to be like intertwining with your bones and your nerves and your ligaments and all that, that can just give you paralysis. There are moles that actually grow in the inside of bodies and they just cripple the people out because it kind of gets in the nerves and they just kind of strangle them. So just the idea of having those things growing inside of your body, it just kind of creeped me out. So it was kind of an interesting episode. I think this episode was a lot more interesting than many others that I watched. Um, the pancakes, stop it! They look disgusting. I wanted to throw up for real when I first watched it. I was like, "Bleh." In my opinion, from the first season, the entire first season, the one that I was the least interested was obviously the alternative factor. I mean, God, maybe that episode was horrible. I mean, just ugh. But I watched it for you guys, like fried rotten eggs. Yeah. Then the Conscience of the King is probably the next least favorite episode ever from the first season. Like with blood vessels. I thought those things were shitting blood, to be honest. I thought that was just a shit stain. If flying pancakes could control, well, yeah, they could control their bodies by using this thing that will intertwine in their, like, in your nerves and all that. That's how they will control you and cause pain, preventing you from telling any information that can kill them easily. So yeah, they could, like, control them, but in a horrible way because it was painful. um so what was I saying? So yeah, it was the Conscience of the King that which I really didn't like at all. And then the alternative factor. And then I'm pretty sure they're gonna be, oh well, Court Martial was pretty flat, in my opinion. I mean, the subject was okay. It was like a unique episode, considering that there's not so much about lawyers and law and a courtroom and the judge and all that. It's like a specific type of episode, which every series back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they will always have like the courtroom kind of episode. So that's why I kind of liked it, but it was kind of flat. And sometimes the performances were like to a point. Oh, Charlie X. Actually, Charlie X was not even in my series. I don't even speak about that episode because I just, you know what I'm talking about. You all know what I was like eeked of, which was Charlie's face when he was manifesting his powers. I mean, more than him manifesting his powers, it just looked like a difficult poop face to me. So I didn't know what to say. It was one of my first episodes watching Star Trek. I had known that Trekkies can be kind of severe if you don't receive things nice, and since I really didn't have that many things that many nice things to say about the episode, I just decided to pretend it didn't exist. I liked the alternative factor when I was a kid because of the parallel universe thing, but watching the episode as an adult makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, all the explanations that Lazarus gave is like, why would you even say that? It doesn't make any bloody sense. And then he's a time traveler, and you go like, yeah, but then it doesn't make any sense anymore. And then Kirk goes back, but it doesn't go boom. And then they actually destroy the ship, but then what happens to the other ship on the other side? Like, it just, all the things were like not well connected. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. And then I go into forums on Facebook and in other places, and it's kind of funny because nobody actually wants to like that episode, and some people kind of say they like it, but they don't even make sense of it either. So I think it's just part of the culture to have that episode, but nobody actually likes it. From what I've seen, I haven't seen a single person saying, "Yeah, I'm up for that." Nobody has ever told me that. So, yeah, you. That's the kind of episode you have to handle really carefully. Conscious of the King, some really subtle lines about death and dying. Yes, but I do get the lines about it, but I don't like the drama on which they were kind of confronted, considering that Balance of Terror also deals with death and also uh, deals with dying for your duty, but it also is about losing a loved one, just like in Conscience of the King. The girl loses her father, and here in Balance of Terror, this woman loses her soon to be husband, very soon to be never happened husband. Um, and I think that even though it was also kind of dramatic, the drama was in a very good tone. I would say it was a very good tone on how to approach that kind of subject. And the Conscience of the King, I think it just went way over the board, and I just couldn't take it seriously. So, Matt Tiberius, hello, how you? Thanks. Yeah, I'm enjoying the old school. So it's a good thing because the only Star Trek I've watched were movies, and apparently I just committed a terrible sin. So it's not like I'm atoning at all, but just catching up with all this kind of years and years of culture that I've missed. And yeah, it's actually been a good trip. I was just discussing with my 6 people right now about what I think about the fourth season and some of the episodes, like the worst episodes, in my opinion, were those. I can't remember the Return of the Archons is another kind of episode that I was like, and I kind of get it because they got 0 votes on the original list. So when they have 0 votes, I kind of get ready that I'm gonna have a bad episode or it's gonna be kind of a flat one. And those were kind of flat. I mean, the Return of the Archons at the end, they kind of leave Spock and Kirk alone at the end so they can face Landru, and they go and face Landru and all. But like the other 2 people, there were 3 people. One of them gets killed, right? And then another one is like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna take you from point A and I'm gonna transport you to point B. And when I'm in point B, I'm gonna give you more information. And when things are about to get hardcore, he just backs out. And it doesn't make any sense because he was facing, like, if he was doing all this, why wouldn't he just take the last step? Like, why he will get scared shitless just when taking them to the very last part? Just didn't make any sense to me. But I have to admit that some of the things, like making it like a period piece and making it like a hive mind and all those elements were kind of cool, but it was just too flat in my opinion. It's been a long, oh sorry, 3 4 TOS episodes, like the alternative factor where the production issues and scenes are missing. The scenes are missing. Scenes are missing. I thought the entire script was missing. That's me. And the children shall lead early in season 3 is also a mess. Well, is it not going to be like Miri then? Well, and the children shall lead sounds like the children of the corn. So now I'm expecting something really crazy. I like Charlie X. A child without any social training and godlike powers is a bad combination. Yeah, I kind of get it. Like, I just reviewed also the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life, which is something about in the same sense, but this is like a much younger child with absolutely no regard for others, just a very selfish child as he's grown because of the powers he has. So I know that Star Trek doesn't want to make things that are too spooky, even though I have felt like this is not a nice thing to feel like um the Esquire of Gothos. That was kind of a scary episode considering that you have like you're at the will of somebody else's whim. That was kind of a scary thing. But in this case, it's Charlie X and all that is kind of a difficult thing because honestly, Charlie seemed to have lived under a rock for all of his life, and like all this trespassing that he does with other people, it just kind of feels yeah, I kind of felt uncomfortable most of the times. And I guess one of the things that you have to understand about me is that I can watch gore. I can watch people getting their arm chops. I can watch Spartacus slicing somebody's face from the chin to the top of his head and just seeing this slice off like you were slicing a piece of ham. I can watch it. It's not like I'm into it. It's just that it doesn't affect me. But one thing that I cannot watch around him for many years, for many, many years, I could not watch uh, Michael J. Fox going crazy on his guitar on Back to the Future in the first movie when he's just going like on the floor and dragging himself and, you know, kicking stuff down and all that. I just couldn't watch it for years. And I was a young girl, but I just couldn't watch it because I just kind of felt it just creeps me out. And recently I could not watch the Artist of Disaster, this James Franco movie with his brother. One of the first scenes, they kind of make this ridiculous scene in front of everybody in a cafeteria in a restaurant, something like that, and they just kind of get along with that ridiculous scene they did. I just couldn't watch it. I couldn't, along with that ridiculous scene they did. I just couldn't watch it. I couldn't, this is something I just can't do. So that's why it creeps me out sometimes. Dying, I've seen them all, but I don't have the titles memorized. You're gonna have to keep up with because I do memorize the titles with the stories. Children of the Corn isn't far off, so I'm gonna take it like this is where they got inspiration for the Children of the Corn. Then you love the first movies, but I don't think Star Trek really found its footing until the 1990s on television. Well, I'm gonna have to check on that because, like, I haven't seen anything from the 90s and I haven't seen the movies either. So I'm gonna have to just trust your word for it and then have my own opinion on it. The one with Melvin Belay was awful. I haven't. Who is Melvin Belay? You lost me there. Yeah, it was uncomfortable. That would be the kind of word I would use to describe Charlie X. It was just uncomfortable to watch. Because the actor really looked like someone was pulling his hair down. I don't know. And probably I have a thing with small foreheads. I don't know. Cultural appropriation. Yeah. Well, this is something I just can't stand. Now about my favorite episodes on the first season. Ah, I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm thinking. Well, of course, The City on the Edge of Forever. It will be probably one of my top 3 episodes because I cried like a baby watching that episode, and because of the story, obviously, and because it, like I said before in my review, for me, it's like the kind of story that shouldn't belong on a Star Trek episode, but it does belong very well in a Star Trek episode. Sometimes these things that don't seem to fit perfect, even in music, it happens. So this is what made I think this is the reason why this episode for me is so beautiful because it shouldn't be, but it is, and it fits perfect. Um, Melvin Belly is in And the Children Shall Lead. All right, I'm gonna Google this guy. Okay, so Melvin. I always thought Mel Gibson was actually his name was Melvin. Melvin Bell. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have 2. One of them is a doctor. So I don't think this is him, right? So I'm gonna go for Star Trek. Uh, okay, he died in 1996. Holy crap, he was born in 1907. Aged man, about 55, 60 years old, maybe. Well, if he was born in 1907, then he was like 60 years old when he was doing this episode, so yeah. The King of Torts. Okay, so he was a lawyer, a writer, and an actor. Wow. Wow. So what do you think he was? What do you think he was? Do you think he was a better actor or was he a better lawyer? Belai. Okay. No, no, no. Wait, and listen. Okay, I'm gonna. Mel Belai was a famous lawyer in the USA in the 60s. Just give that episode if it comes up. No skips. You have to experience the bat with. I'm not married. You know, if I wanted to experience the bat with the boot, I would have gotten married, but I'm not. So skip the very last episode. I wanted to do that in the first season. I wanted to skip Operation Annihilate, and I just watched it because everyone voted in favor. Uh, well, I wouldn't say he was a good actor. Okay, so he's a good lawyer. All right, lawyer, bad script. Okay, is that Space Monkey? No, this is Dino. This is Dino from the Flintstones. It's one of my favorites. I used to have it on the wall back then. I don't know where I left it. I had a small dino, which sometimes appear in my first episodes of in the channel, and it's a small dino, and I keep it because it's the only dino I've had, and I've had it for about 30 years, and it's my favorite dog on like a character dog. Well, he shares place. I love Dino. He's not a proper dog, but he behaves like a dog. And I love Gromit from Wallace and Gromit. So yeah, they're both the same kind of level. So yeah, it's a good thing that I never called them Gromit or Dino to any of these two because Dino. Okay, Dino, Dino. Don't remember what we call him here. Probably Dino too. But yeah, he was probably my favorite. Every time they ask me about which is my favorite purple dinosaur, everyone expects me to say Barney. That's not him. 90s Star Trek. Well, the thing, it's certainly an experience. I'm gonna say something that, as a non-Trekkie myself, that for Trekkies is like, well, this is fucking obvious. But when before I started watching the original series and they spoke about the Klingons, every time someone speaks about Klingons, I always imagine this kind of special makeup on the forehead, like I don't know, like this kind of thing that like when I do move my brows and you can see the wrinkles on my forehead. I always thought they always had it, and now I realize that it's from the 90s. So when we talk about Trekkies as a non-Trekkie myself, we always think about Trekkies like, oh, those guys that can speak Klingon, just because we saw it on the Big Bang Theory. So we understand now that this Klingon language was invented until much later, for what I understand. Um, what else? Even the teletransporter, the kind of effect that they use to beam up or to, whatever, even the sound that we kind of relate to the special sound effects and all that, it actually comes from the 90s. um with all the people that I know that are non-Trekkies, they kind of confuse the uniform. So you show them one from the 60s and one from the 90s, they kind of don't see the difference between one uniform and the other. uh so this is kind of a change for me, like, until I got till the episode with the Klingons, with John Colicos. um I really thought that the Klingons always had this kind of makeup that they showed first, so it was kind of surprising. um oh, now you see him, yeah, from Glee, from Super Friends. No, so all the movies, all TOS and all TNG, but I gave up on all the TV spin-offs. Just saying. Well, it happens to a lot of things. I mean, look at what happens to The Walking Dead. I mean, the comic book was a success, and the series, as soon as it got into the first four seasons, it was a huge success. But then, about the fourth season, they started coming out with Fear the Walking Dead. Now they got Walking Dead World Beyond and all that, and quality in every single episode is just being gone down the gutter. So same thing happens with Star Wars. You get the first three movies, they're perfect. And probably you get a few good points on the next three movies, which I consider to be shite. And then you get a good series, but then everything else is shite. And it doesn't matter if you bring J.J. Abrams, who is like, you know, this sci-fi guru now, and it just doesn't make any sense that the things that we used to love the most just cannot spring good ideas to bring back the vibe that they used to have. So, I mean, I can speak for hours as to why I believe this happens. Why quality on the great stuff of the past just doesn't take off as it should in the present. Uh, but it's basically because of the writers. Um, no offense. All the Law and Order series. The first Law and Order series. I remember I used to watch it with my mom a long time ago when Chris Noth was actually young and he didn't have any bags under his eyes. Um, and I thought the series was kind of the really serious quality kind of TV, you know. And now fucking cops are God, man. They all can do everything. They can just they know everything. They're geniuses like Vincent D'Onofrio for once, like he's a fucking genius. No, they were supposed to be, humans. And now they want to make superheroes out of every single person. It doesn't make any sense. Uh, Abrams is a hack. I respect J.J. Abrams, because he made Felicity, and I was a huge fan. I was in high school when it came out, so I was a huge fan of Felicity. So I kind of like the thing. Oh, and I loved Mission Impossible 3. I liked Mission Impossible 3 way more than Mission Impossible 2. And that gives a clear difference that I prefer J.J. Abrams rather than John Woo. And John Woo was a big thing back in the 2000s. So can you guys give me a second? I have to go bring my charger, otherwise my computer's gonna go empty. So just give me a sec. Let's hope it actually gets here. I'm gonna connect to my computer from this side. So there we go. There we go. Now it's working. Much better. Stop watching TV except for home improvement shows. You mean like real home improvement or the Tim Allen TV show? I'm kidding. Klingons didn't have ridges on their heads until the first movie, Star Trek Enterprise, gives a good canon explanation for this. Okay, so I'm gonna take it like the first movie is about the Klingons, and I understand the second movie is the Wrath of Khan, so it's not gonna be about Klingons. It's going to be about enhanced people. So, yeah, that's basically like what I think. One of my favorite episodes after The City on the Edge of Forever was Tomorrow is Yesterday, and I was really disappointed that many people didn't vote for this episode specifically because I thought it was really great. It didn't seem boring at all. I just the thing is that sometimes when there's a lot of explanation, most of the explanation relies on either the guest character or Mr. Spock. There most of the times the two people that have to give long monologues with information to understand the sequence of the episode. So in this case, even though there were explanations, they were given in small snippets, which didn't make it boring at all. And then we had a lot of action, like at the beginning with this airplane, and then all this amazement and the wonder of this guy, like, oh my goodness, everything is happening and this is great, blah, blah, blah. And then we have all the excitement when they have to go down and get the film. And then again, excitement when they have to travel around the sun and get this slingshot effect and go back to their time. So this episode was packed with a lot of emotional, like action things, like good things. And I was just, I remember I was reacting to it, and you can watch that on my Patreon if you are one. I was really amazed that it had 0 votes, this specific episode, and for me, it's one of the best. So that's another favorite. I can't remember what other episode I can remember. Oh well, Balance of Terror is probably one of my top 3 also. I would say those are my top 3. The City on the Edge of Forever, Balance of Terror, and Tomorrow is Yesterday. Those are probably my top 3 of the entire first season. Let's leave it official, even though this is a live stream and I was going to make a special video to give my thoughts on the first season. But now that I found this, I prefer to do it like that. But those are my first 3. And my last 3 will definitely be The Alternative Factor, Charlie X. I don't know if Court Martial or The Return of the Archons. I don't know which one of those 2, but oh no, The Conscience of the King. You know, those are my 3 least favorite episodes, with The Conscience of the King. And I remember even my review video of that episode was pretty shite because I really didn't know what to talk about at the end of the episode. I was just left with this kind of a sour flavor in my mouth, and I just didn't want to speak about it anymore. So I just recorded it and I just left it as it was, and I didn't really make my best effort on that. So sorry about that episode, but it's pretty shite in my opinion. So yeah. You would vote for almost every episode, but I will be chained to my desk, making no money. So you're a Navy vet. I didn't know that. That's a good thing. I have my brother-in-law's in the Navy. Well, he's a Marine, not in the Navy. He's a Marine, and he gets long days and long journeys also. So, good thing my dad was not, to be honest. But he was a big fan of Star Trek. I remember when they used to broadcast Star Trek back in my when I was a child. This must have been 1980. Oh, fuck me. 1987, 1988. In those 2 years, I must have been 7 or 8 years old. 6 or 7 years old. I remember they will broadcast Star Trek, and my mom kind of remember it like, oh yeah, I remember that series because your father loves it, but she didn't like it at all. Like a good woman from the 60s. So the reason why I remember Star Trek with in a nice term is because my father had the books and because my father was a fan, but he was not a Trekkie. So we didn't have that much of Star Trek here in my house, just for the books that I showed you in the 3rd episode, but we didn't have that much now. And everything I knew about Star Trek was basically internet culture. So, and what I saw from the movies. And I understand now why people kind of hates the movies, but I'm not gonna hate them. Jesus, I have a flu. I'm sorry. I'm a flu, and this is why I'm not working on my videos. I should be doing a voiceover on my review video for episode 29, but I just can't speak like this. Hey, welcome back, Jeff. So yeah, that's why I'm not working. But I cannot hate the movies. I cannot hate the new movies. I know there are many differences. Sorry about that. I don't hate them because I think there are good things that made a very, I don't know how to describe. I think, for example, Just an example. Thank you. Zachary Quinto, the guy that made Spock in the young version. I think he made a tremendous effort to be as neutral as he could, even though at some points he had to lose control and get angry and do all these crazy things. But we've seen that from the Leonard Nimoy as well. I think he made a great effort in his performance. I did not see him like robotic, even though in some parts he might seem with this kind of mannerisms that were not Spock, in my opinion. But I think his effort is quite respectable, in my opinion. No, I'm not allergic to dogs. I'm allergic to the change of the temperature. I don't know if that ever happens to you, but where I live, we have temperature jumps from, I don't know, I could be 11 Celsius and in 4 hours I'm 27 Celsius. So when I get large changes of temperature, I just start sneezing like crazy. But no, I bite my dogs. I don't get allergies from my dogs. Uh, One thing that I think it's quite different is obviously Kirk. I mean, there is no way, absolutely no way, Chris Pine could fit for the kind of uh, James Kirk, you know. But then again, nobody else could, you know. Nobody else could play him, and bringing or trying to de-age William Shatner right now is just a miracle. So I understand that they wanted to make it a different kind of Kirk, which is not always a bad thing. You know, trying to change a character sometimes is not a bad thing. I don't say that this is a good choice here, but I mean, 007, for example, I just saw this video on YouTube that Roger Moore did not want to run being 007. Like you're a spy, you're supposed to be in an action movie and you don't want to run, right? But then you get man, what is the guys? This new guys, Daniel Craig, and boy does he run. Man, the first movie was all about him running like crazy and sweating and getting red faced like an insane lunatic, and it's good. You know, it was a very good change. A younger version of a character that was from the 60s. So it's not always a bad decision to make it more relatable to new audiences. The thing is that these new audiences, well, it's not the new audiences to be honest, but the writers that are addressing to the new audiences have absolutely no maturity in my opinion, and this is why the stories suck. You know, and in the case of 007, they seem to be in the same age, like it's the same maturity, the guys that wrote back in the 60s and the guys that are writing for today, and they're keeping it for the same mature audiences as they are writing it. And this is not what's happening for Star Trek and Star Wars and many other series that are getting the reboot treatment, and the stories are just not mature enough because they are written by uncompromising people. That's basically how I see it, you know. um you get in the mornings, it's fucking awful, isn't it? Carl Urban, I love Carl Urban. Yes, I have to say, Carl Urban is a great McCoy. He's the same kind of intense, he's the same kind of aggressive when he needs to be, but he's still kind of a big hearted guy. So, yeah, I love Carl Urban. Other than the rest of the cast isn't good. Chris Pine doesn't look or act like Shatner. But the thing is, this is it. You were not supposed to act like Shatner. Like you want to make a different version of it. And this is probably where you were not you, but this is probably where the writers made the biggest mistake, trying to change something that is basically one of the, I don't know, one of the biggest franchises ever, and that you obviously were gonna have a lot of angry fans if you changed one single thing, um, which is not the case for 007. 007 has changed from the 60s and the 70s and the terrible 80s and the almost unexisting 90s, the crazy low point of the beginning of the 2000s, and then we got a pretty decent story from 2006 and on. But every single change of the 007 through the the decades has been growing accordingly. Star Trek didn't get that. Star Trek started in the 60s and it ended in the 60s. And when we got it back in the 90s, it was a completely different crew. I mean, we don't have the same captain. We don't have the same people. We don't even have the same kind of alien in the deck, on the helm. So it didn't grow with the people, whereas James Bond did grow with the people, which is this is why I think this is what happened, because as far as I'm concerned, Star Trek, the first movie, the J.J. Abrams movie, is from 2006, and Casino Royale is about the same time. So they both try to create the same effect on a character that was just as old, but it worked for one and it didn't work for the other because the fan base. And I'm not like blaming you, but there are things that you are supposed to keep the same way because Star Trek didn't have all those changes with all the other decades, just like James Bond did. So this is why I think that changed. Oh, those changes didn't work. The same thing happened with Lieutenant Uhura. Okay, Zoe Saldana is beautiful. I wouldn't consider her to be a great actress, but I think she's a good action movie actress. But that's not Lieutenant Uhura. Now she fucking fights. Now she handles guns. When I haven't seen that, I think the most badass I've seen from Lieutenant Uhura is that she can actually fly the ship. But I think those changes just didn't go well. um I think the latest movies are okay. I think the characters are well done, even though Kirk is quite different. Yeah, I think the fact that Kirk had to be a little bold, but I mean, if they make a Star Trek movie and they make a Captain Kirk as stiff as he is as when he was fighting, that wouldn't work today. Sorry, but it just wouldn't work. Fun, entertaining, but maybe not a great idea to recreate some characters, at least for old timers. Oh, Star Trek is 2009. Thanks for the keep up. So it's pretty much in those 3 years where they were trying to make different things. No, different things, but using the old things and trying to make them new. This old remake thing started in the 2000s, like trying to make remakes of the remakes. So, some things were good changes, some others were not. You know, Leonard Nimoy single-handedly saved the first J.J. Abrams movie. I have to. Well, the thing is, I'm a big Simon Pegg fan, so I actually went to watch the movie because of Simon Pegg, and I loved him there. So, you know, without him, I think the movie would have quickly been forgotten. Well, yeah. Oh no. I don't know if Leonard Nimoy is the reason why people remember those movies. I mean, it was a big thing when the movies came out, and I didn't even know that Leonard Nimoy was going to be part of it. It was a very nice surprise to see him on those movies. To be honest with you, but I don't know. I think I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I'm not sure if he's the real reason. Uh, you know, that's just me. Uh, Again, I think a lot of people remembers this movie more because of this lens flare cinematography that they used rather than anything else. Actually, every time you see lens flare again in a movie, you go like, "Oh, fucking Star Trek," But that's because it was just so. It looked so well, but it was so overused. So that's my opinion. Uhura in the original series is the most competent range officer other than Kirk and Spock. Well, I haven't seen her fighting in the first season. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna see her fighting later. Because I do. Well, I do remember uh, Sulu like he's the fencing guy, and I already said that in my previous episodes that I didn't understand about the fencing until I saw the naked tame, and I was like, okay, but Sulu doesn't seem to be like the fighting guy kind, that kind of guy anyway. But in the movies, I'm gonna forgive him because it's John Cho, and if John Cho is watching this, I hope he calls me. But yeah, I think those changes are mostly because they were trying to engage the newer generations to like something that every time, I mean, let's be honest, the newer generations, younger people than myself, like real millennials or real centennials, whatever you want to call them, they look at the 90s Star Trek or the 60s Star Trek and they go like, they don't like it. They don't fucking like it. Okay? They see it all. They see it old fashioned. They see it obsolete because they don't get it, you know? So of course they had to do something that will engage this new generations, and that was the way to do it. Some people really like the movie. Some other people just go like, whatever, just as bad as Star Wars, To each his own. So I think what they did with the new movies. I mean, the first movie was all right. The second movie and the third movie were completely forgettable, in my opinion. Um, with the goods and the bads, I think it was a good attempt. Like I said, for many people, I think they were making a great attempt. Even J.J. Abrams, I think he understands his fandom, but he's not in complete charge of everything. And we've seen that in many movies. Like um it's like Ryan Reynolds. He knows the fandom of whatever he's going to do, but as long as he doesn't have all creative freedom, then he cannot do what he really wants. And he's good at what he does. He's a good creator as well. But Hollywood, you know, you have to respond to a much higher superior power, and there's no way you're gonna get off it. So for some things, I'm gonna blame some directors, I'm gonna blame some writers, and for others, I'm just gonna blame Hollywood because they make bad decisions. I mean, name all of the movies that they just destroyed, all the characters that they just shred to pieces, like Green Lantern, the first Deadpool. Uh, my goodness, just there's so many to think. And I was I was watching a few episodes of Star Trek Discovery. I thought the two, from the original series to Discovery, I would see some things that I might find attractive. And I have to say that the way that I felt the dialogues, the way that I felt, the way that the stories were being told, really, it doesn't stand out from all the new TV series now. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. So I don't know if I'm gonna be watching that anytime soon. Um, it was the '60s. The fact they had a black woman on the bridge was a big deal. No, Lieutenant Uhura was not the first interracial kiss on television, although it was um, William Shatner. So you have that. But yeah, I know that having a black woman in the bridge was a big deal. I do get that. But it was not the first interracial kiss. By his own admission, Abrams doesn't even like Star Trek. He was the worst choice for those movies. I know that I said that he understands the fandom. Um, and this is something that, I mean, if you're making a movie, if you're making a remake of Star Trek, you definitely need to understand the fandom, you know. Uh, and this is why they brought him to make both Star Wars and Star Trek, because he gets the fandom, but it's not like he can get on top of everything himself either. Hollywood has to stop trying to make clouds of gas menacing. Man, how many times have they used the gas menacing? Even the first Batman has clouds of gas menacing. The 1989 Batman has gas. But yeah, you know, there's so many things, so many cliches that Hollywood has to stop doing. But the first thing they have to stop doing is remakes. I mean, I'm really surprised to the fact that we really ran out of ideas. Or maybe is still the thing that I've been saying so far, that writers do not compromise anymore. We cannot compromise anymore because audiences will take a stand and will cancel you. You know, the cancel culture has been everywhere. So if you take a very particular stance, you might get into trouble because somebody's going to get offended. So, in order to not get into a specific stance to create a new story, then you have to go back and, find the old stuff that was politically correct, which in all terms is absolutely the opposite, you know. So what they have to stop doing is remakes. I don't know what I would do if they do another Jaws remake, or if they make the Sting remake that I said please do not do that, or I don't know, pick your favorite John Wayne movie that you don't want it to be a remake, or your favorite Clint Eastwood spaghetti western you don't want it to have. There are so many movies out there dreading to be shred to pieces by some inept director, you know. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a trend. The remake culture is still a trend. It's not a fad. It's a trend. I don't know. What do you think is going to be the next thing to suffer the remake treatment? I don't know. Ghostbusters already got the remake treatment, failed miserably. Today's writers are just lazy. They have no imagination. That's why we keep getting remade. Yeah, they have no imaginations and they have no stand. Like I said, the cancel culture is just gonna shred them to pieces if they read something that is just outside of the comfort zone for many people. So it's kind of difficult to deal with that kind, considering that the cancel culture is being now in possession of the people who is taking that director's job. The young generation, the one that came behind me, they are the ones with the culture and they are the ones in charge now. You know, so I don't know. I think it's a difficult time for a lot of creatives, and there are difficult times. I don't think it's a lack of imagination. I think that the imagination is just being, you know, cruelly maimed, uh, so that we don't offend one single person out there. Go figure. Um, Agreed. People are too easily butthurt today. Yes, this is the thing. I mean, I'm overweight. Let's keep it as that, okay? I'm overweight. I'm trying to keep myself in shape. I fail miserably by eating snacks. When I was younger, I was way fatter than today. I was like proper fat, you know. And I remember when I was proper fat, there was this Marlon Wayans show. He had a mid-season Wayans show, which he was a policeman, and then he had a show with his entire family. This must have been at the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, maybe. And I do remember that they made this episode when one of the family members is dreaming that they are all morbidly obese and they are all fat and they're all at the table, and the little girl hasn't arrived to the table, and they call her and she comes in rolling. And this whole community of fat people wanted to kill this guy. They wanted a public apology. They wanted to cancel the show. They wanted to do a lot of things because they were making fun of fat people. And I was fat back in the day, and I was like, well, I don't feel offended, but people do, you know. If there's not enough representation of whoever in a movie or a show, they want to cancel it. I am not kidding. I'm a very active person on Twitter, but I tweet in Spanish. This is why I never give my Twitter account, because it's all in Spanish. But I don't know if you guys have seen this movie called Luca. It's a new movie. It's a new animated movie about a kid lives in the water. I haven't even seen the movie, but I don't lie to you when when I'm telling you this. There's this kid like 25 years old, and he's like, he said this. It is obvious that the kids have a homosexual relationship. The problem is that the director didn't understand his own movie. I was just astonished. Like the fucking nerve to say that. Like, I'm gay and I want them to be gay. And if they're not gay, it's because the director did not understand it. And I'm not going against gay people. I'm talking about that specific idiot. It's just that, you know? So people get really easily offended. And if you want to keep selling, because if I'm a writer, it's because I want to make money out of it. And if writing what I want is going to make everyone cancel me, that I just don't fucking risk it. You know? I think we're going to go back to the times of Alan Smiths and, pseudonyms on writing, you know? Star Trek Into Darkness is a blight upon the senses, even worse than the garbage Pail Kids movie. Well, I'm a girl. I'm all in for the eye candy. Take it easy. I look great. Thanks. Still, Julie knows. I've heard that some are trying to remake Buck Rogers. I don't know. I don't know. When they say it's gonna be a remake, people over 35 go like, "Oh my god, no, not this time." So, yeah, I kind of get it. I remember one about 10 or 15 years ago, they said that they were going to make this live action movie from the Thundercats. I thought it was a great idea. And back in the day, I remember I took a picture of Joaquin Phoenix and Lionel, and I thought he could be a perfect Lionel. And now I just hope they don't do it. You know, I just hope they really, really don't fucking do it. Uh, it's did anyone? I haven't seen it, but has anyone seen this MacGyver remake? Like I haven't even bothered to watch it. So I don't know. I think they should be trying to go for new ideas. Um, leave the old ideas as they are. I mean, I don't care if they take the classics, like if they take Cinderella and they want to make the godmother a godfather with a leather coat or animal print and nails, and the guy is African American. I don't care if they do that with a classic. Okay? They're classics, public domain, you know? Go figure. You can do whatever you want. But then taking somebody else's idea, like they did with Star Trek, or like they did with other shows or other movies. I don't know. I think that's just lazy, lazy writing. Um, I saw a couple episodes of the MacGyver remake. Not so great. Like I know that the main actor from MacGyver is from X-Men Days of Future Past, is the guy that throws like rings of energy. But other than that, I don't remember this guy from any other place. Anna Taylor-Joy is Chitara. Let's make it happen. I don't know. I think she's too skinny. Chitara has to have a little more body to it. I don't know. I'm not sure Anna Taylor-Joy. Plus, I always thought of Chitara being a woman like 27, 28. And I think she looks too young for it. But probably the reason why I think of her like an older woman is because of the voice they used to have for her in Spanish. So to me, it always had that kind of spirit, like an older person. I'm 41. I'm way too old to be doing this. Richard Dean Anderson is a MacGyver actor. I know he's the main character of Stargate SG-1. Yeah, I saw a couple of episodes of Stargate, and I loved the movie. I have to be honest, I really loved the movie. It was still back in the day when Kurt Russell was still a hunk, and David Spade was. Is David Spade? Or what's his name? I always confuse David Spade and the other guy. Is it David Spade? David's. Yeah. No, that's not him. Spader? Fuck. David Spader. David Spader. David Spader was still good looking. My mom used to have a huge crush on the guy. Now he looks like an egg with eyes. I love the Stargate movie, and then I saw a couple of episodes from this TV series, and I didn't feel it was about the same as in the movie. And the thing is that I was a big fan of the movie because I'm a big fan of Egypt itself. And I thought that the way that the movie had twisted it back in the time, it looked pretty cool to me. I mean, when I saw the movie, I must have been 14, 14, 13, maybe 13 years old. I can't remember what year is it from. So when I watched the TV series, it just didn't feel the same. So like, I wasn't really into it. I'm gonna have to give it a second try because, to be honest, I haven't seen the movie like in 20 years. So I probably will give it a second watch and maybe give it another try for the other episodes. So I might. I think that Stargate tried to make its own cosmos, just like Star Trek did, but it just didn't get that far. It didn't reach out that far. But I think it just had the same potential to make its own cosmos and could have been another kind of a separate culture. I'll be 60 in about 2 weeks and never too old for new things. I know. That's my motto. My era of influence. I'm from the 80's completely, and most of what I watched when I was a child was from the 80's, and I saw a couple of things from the 60's and 70's as well. But I'm completely from the 80's. Another shot, SG1, is great. It ran for I know, but it's so fucking long. It's so fucking long. I remember somebody said you have to watch Grey's Anatomy, and I knew Grey's Anatomy had been going for long, and then she was like really convincing me, like, dude, this guy is so hot and this is so good, and you learn all this and you learn that, blah blah. And then she said it's a 16 season TV show, and I was like, oh, okay, that's it. I'm not watching it. So 10 seasons, Stargates. Yeah, it went long, but I thought it was gonna have like branch it out, like the New Generation and Lower Decks and like those series. But the movie was surprisingly entertaining. Watching a recent reaction video doesn't hold up as a rewatch, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm a big fan of reaction videos. Apart from my own reaction videos, I'm a big sucker for Nikki and Steve React. I love those two reacting together. I wish I had a reacting companion, but I'm in Mexico, so I don't think that's gonna happen soon. But you know, I think watching a reaction video, like you all guys say, every time I watch a new Star Trek video episode, like how different it is to watch things that you already watch and you have your own experience. You have to watch it from somebody else's eyes. It gives a completely different perspective, and I really have hope that every time I watch a Star Trek episode, I try to watch it not just like. Although sometimes I do feel like that. The thing is that I always try to give a more mature insight, considering that I'm 41 years old and that I'm not just a fucking child watching stuff. So I do try to pay attention, but sometimes it's just impossible for me to give something that might at least sound coherent. That's what happened with the alternative factor. Like, I'm not kidding. I had watched the episode and I had already uploaded it on my Patreon, but I had no idea what to say on YouTube as a review video because I even asked for help in a Star Trek forum on Facebook. Like, can somebody help me? And they just all went like, well, it's a terrible episode. Why would you even want to work on it? It just I just decided to go for a music video because I had no idea what to watch. But in most of my other videos, especially for the videos that I'm going to be showing on YouTube, I try to give a more coherent and a more, I don't know, a deeper analysis, I would say, especially for the Twilight Zone episodes. I do try to go beyond just the story and um, try to contextualize the episode from the decade and from what the circumstances were back in the time. Um, Grey's Anatomy has been since the Stone Age. Yeah. I love the original Thundercats and Avatar: The Last Airbender and Samurai Jack. Such entertain. Well, I'm not a big Samurai Jack. I'm more of a the Powerpuff Girls, obviously. Um, but the original Thundercats was probably one of my. I was a big fan when I was 5 or 6 years old back in the 80s. I was a big fan of um, Messenger C. I don't know how you guys call it in English. Was a big fan of the Thundercats, and I was a big fan of the Smurfs. That was a lot younger than. Um, oh man, I don't know what the name of this is in English. I was a fan of the Transformers, but until a much later time. Uh, shit. I don't know the name of this cartoon in English. Let me search here. Los Halcones Galácticos. Silverhawks. Silverhawks. I was a big fan of Silverhawks. Um, Messenger said, "Oh, sorry. Well, what was that reaction from you and me?" Oh, you're talking to Jeff May. Sorry. Messenger said, "I love that one as a kid." Transer said? Transer said. That was the name of Messenger said. This is the first time ever I've ever heard called that way. Like even in Japanese, it's Masinga, but here in Mexico was Messenger Zeta, said being Zeta. I never actually knew. This is the first Z. Well, I call it said. Oh, shit, I'm drooling from my nose. I was a big fan of those, and then when cartoons like Saint Seiya started, I couldn't be bothered. Like I couldn't care less about Saint Seiya or all the other anime. But yeah, I saw a lot of anime back in the time. I just can't remember the names. And then I started watching anime until I was an adult. But I wouldn't consider myself as an anime person. Uh, but yeah, that was back in the 80s. And I was a big fan of cartoons back in the 80s. I do remember watching Beetlejuice, the cartoon. You remember that one? I was a big fan. Silverhawks was good too. And if you can't find it, watch the original Johnny Quest from the 60s. Johnny Quest, it rings a bell. I'm gonna have to search the one. The announcer on the show would always stretch out a Z, Transor Z. I'm gonna have to search for that. Okay. Transor. Oh my god, this is the first time. There's a fucking mosquito around me. Messenger said. Transor. Even the title looks cheap. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go for it. Anime, yeah. I'm not a big fan of anime. But I actually like anime when they are really artistic or they really have something going on than just fighting. Oh, this I didn't put. Well, at what moment did he say Transfer Z? At the beginning or at the end?
The mightiest of machines.
Okay. Okay, Transfer Z. Okay. I got at the end of the I just saw it. Transfer Z. Yeah. Well, we gotta get one thing straight. Um, Mexican voice actors are fantastic, fantastic. Okay, we've had a culture of voice actors uh, since the 50s, the 60s, probably. And I have to say that for some things, for some cartoons, this is not because this is the way that I saw it as a child and they have to remain like that. No, it's just that the voice actors are thousand times better in Spanish than they were in English. I don't know how to say it. For example, there's a saying, well, not a saying, but there's this anecdote about Walt Disney that he would, in order to cast the voice actors from other countries to do the Disney movies, he would listen to them without looking at the screen so that he would not try to relate physically the actor to the character. So it will only be the voice, you know? And they said that when he heard for the first time an actor, a Mexican actor, his name was Germán Valdez, better known as Tintan. He was a comedian, famous, probably one of the most famous comedian in all of Mexico, and his voice is unique. He has not only the tone, not only the masculinity, but the spice. He had a spicy voice. Not the spice on like a husky spice. No, he was happy. He invited you to listen to him, and they said that his jaw dropped to the floor. Like, where was this guy 10 years ago when I needed him for this and that? And he had had a long career before that. He made two movies for Disney. He was Baloo on The Jungle Book, and I don't know the name of the Aristocats, the main cat. He was that voice too. So in Mexico, we have great voice work, and many of the cartoons that I've seen, I prefer to still watch them in Spanish because they have great talent. And even for modern movies, sometimes the dub actors for modern movies can tropicalize, uh, some lines in the dialogues, and they just make them a thousand times funnier. Shrek is a great example of this. Like, Donkey was made by Eugenio Derbez, who is now kind of famous in Hollywood. He was in this movie Coda, and he was addressed during the speech, the thank you speech. He was addressed, and he was the guy who made Donkey's voice. And I prefer a thousand times to hear him than Eddie Murphy. You know, Math T. It may have. Oh, sorry. It may have been. I never watched the series, so not worth the reaction. So many great films out there. Um, you know what great animation series was? Cowboy Bebop. A great Stargate movie is not good. I have to admit, it's not a great movie. Stargate is not a great movie, but I love the concept. The concept was, in my opinion, was kind of unique, and mixing this great sci-fi and all that with the Egyptian culture that was always kind of indirectly related to aliens because the pyramids and whatever. It was a great concept, you know. I loved it back in the time when I was 13, 14 years old. This effect that the heads will go like tick, 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 tick. It's just mind blowing, you know. So it's not a good movie. It's a shame that the actor that made Raw only made two movies in his entire life. I thought this kid was going to be a hit, and he just made Stargate, and he was like, "Fuck this, I don't want it." The Tomcat. Tomcat. Tomcat? I don't remember Tomcat. I do remember Top Cat, but not Tomcat. Oh, okay. I see it as a poem. I see it as a band. Is it the Top Cat instead of Tomcat? The Venture Brothers. No, I haven't seen it. I should have learned Spanish instead of French. Non, mon ami. Vous préférez parler français. C'est plus productif, en my opinion. As soon as you start describing his voice, I knew he was going to be Baloo. Yeah, he was. You have to watch it. You know what? I'm gonna try to find Baloo with the Mexican voice. Okay, Baloo Herman Valdez. I think. Yeah, sorry. There we go. I think I'm back. And I think you're the only one left, Jeff. So, yeah, I even forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I'm still here. Am I still frozen? Yeah, I'm back. All right. No? Okay. I'm not frozen. Got it. Yeah, I totally forgot what I was saying. Totally. I got like so uninspired after all this. You're offline. I don't understand why. Uh, what happened to Twilight Zone? I already finished my last episode of the Twilight Zone. I haven't edited yet. It's The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I thought the episode was amazing. And I think it's probably one of the scariest movies, the scariest episodes I've seen so far. And I'm still gathering votes for the second list, although I'm gonna have to give it a break. I want to finish Snowpiercer before I begin with the viewers list. So I already watched the. I haven't watched the 8th episode. I still have 3 more episodes to go from Snowpiercer. I'm just gonna finish it because I hate to leave things unfinished. So I'm gonna finish that. And when I finished it, I hope I had advanced a couple more episodes from Firefly, which is exclusive on Patreon. And then I will take back again my Twilight Zone series. I can't. Well, I can't afford a VPN server either, so I do get what you feel. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That the fact that I cannot see all the content because of this geo block, whatever, that you cannot watch all the series. For example, when I first started thinking about making this channel 2 years ago, I was going to watch Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. I wanted to watch some series. Star Trek. The reason why I chose Star Trek is because it was available on my Netflix. This is the only reason why I started watching Netflix, because so that I started watching Star Trek, because I had no series that I could watch, and I wanted a Marvel. I'm a Marvel fan. You have to get that. I'm a big Marvel fan. If I take the covers out of this pillow, it's a huge Marvel pillow. I'm a big MCU fan anyway, so I wanted to watch something that was from the I was thinking about watching the Hulk with Lou Ferrigno, or the old Spider-Man series, or Wonder Woman, even though it's not Marvel, but I was gonna watch Wonder Woman. And I looked for these 3 series, and I couldn't. I was not available, or they were not available for me, because I'm not in the States. So this is the reason why I started watching. I was actually among the series that I thought about watching was MacGyver. I remember some episodes of MacGyver, but I was not the fan. The big fan was my sister. My sister was the one that would watch it, and we would watch along with her, but I really don't remember many of the episodes. And I couldn't have MacGyver either. So I continue searching for series to watch, and that's how I got to Star Trek. This is the real reason why. Yeah, but the reason I know that these are bad. Yeah, you know, and it's not like the alternative factor was any good either. The thing is that I wanted to watch them not because, oh, they're so good, they're so bad that they're good. It's just that I wanted to see how the characters have evolved, especially Spider-Man. And if I had had the chance to watch Spider-Man from the beginning, watching No Way Home would have been a great it would have been a great experience, even though I have watched all the movies before I got to No Way Home, and I had seen the entire MCU before I got to No Way Home. I enjoyed it, but I thought that if I had watched the 70s, even though it's not related at all, it would have been kind of good to see how the characters kind of progress, because in the end, we're not parting from the TV series, we're getting it from the comic book, you know? Um, Lou Ferrigno Hulk is good. I do remember Lou Ferrigno's Hulk, but I don't remember any single episode anyway. Chips, I do remember Chips. And I have to be honest, I don't like Eric Estrada. I'm sorry. The thing is that Eric Estrada looks Mexican, but he doesn't speak any Spanish, or he didn't speak any Spanish back in the day. But Chips was a big show in Mexico. Patrulla Motorizada. That was I even remember the name, but I never saw a single episode. But they look really hunky and his motorcycles and his big arms, and you go like, where's the rest of the village people? But they look really good in the uniforms. And then in Mexico, we have the culture of telenovelas, the soap operas. So somebody had this great idea to call Eric Estrada to Mexico and star in a telenovela in Spanish, which he doesn't fucking speak. And the only reason why we remember this soap opera is because how bad his English was. I am not kidding. I wish I was kidding, but I am not. He could not speak Spanish in self-defense. Okay. So and because he was getting all this bullying of his terrible Spanish, and this is back in the 90s. If the internet was available, he would have shot himself, but he was very bad at speaking. So he got this kind of an arrogant attitude, like, what do you know, you fucking Mexican? So we were like, fuck you. Nobody care about this guy anymore. Chips was awful. The village people. That's me. I'm a joke making machine. So Kung Fu with David Carradine, because I have seen the new Kung Fu series where he is now the master, and the grasshopper was another kid. Um, you can see some 1960s Spider-Man on YouTube, Ralph Bakshi, and psychedelic rock music. I'm gonna look for it. Yeah, I am definitely gonna look for the 60s Spider-Man. Defo. I have been suggested a couple of times to watch Doctor Who. And I'm not sure if I'm prepared for Doctor Who. I don't know if my science fiction background is good enough for Doctor Who. And it happens the same thing as Grey's Anatomy. It's just too fucking long. I'm not sure I'm gonna have the nerve to pull up with all of them. And then I hear that the new Doctor Who, the girl, ever since they got the girl episodes, they were pretty bad. But I'm a big fan of David Tennant, of Peter Capaldi. So probably I'll give them a try. I'm just gonna go check, but I'll have to make how many episodes are for real. Kung Fu, the TV series, is why I studied Kung Fu. What is that series from? The 70s or the 80s? I don't know. The original one. I really don't know. Because I do know that the other was from the 90s. Yeah, I think the new one was from the 90s. So I reckon that the first one was from the 70s, maybe the beginning of the 80s. So yeah, it's kind of funny how sometimes TV shows shape us. It's like CSI. When the first seasons of CSI Las Vegas started, the forensic career, I don't know what you call it, just kind of like tripled. Like nobody wanted to study to be a forensic, and then like all the universities just tripled the amount of people, the students. Ralph Bakshi, he did LR. I was too young to drop acid at the time. Well, you're old enough now, then I think. I see Space from 1977. Is that the one that you're talking about? Norman. Still see the Baloo. It's a British science fiction television program that ran for 2 series from 1975 to 1977. And the opening episode is in the year 1999. Nuclear waste stored on the moon's far side explodes, knocking the moon out of orbit and sending it, as well as the 311 inhabitants of moon base Alpha, hurtling uncontrollably into space. Was the last production by the partnership of Gary and Sylvia Anderson, who divorced in 1980, and it was the most expensive series produced for British television to that time. The British series was co-produced by IT Entertainment. Okay, that sounds pretty promising, to be honest. Not too many episodes, just 24, 12 per series. I mean, that's the good thing about the British series, that they divided it into series twice a year, and every series has less episodes, except for the Graham Norton show that has like 1,000 per series. But other than that, I really liked British series. Lord of the Rings animated movie. I saw it, and I have the book of the animated movies from 1977, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see again. (1978). I saw it. I remember that. I think The Lord of the Rings is probably one of my earliest memories of childhood, of cartoons. Is probably that one. I watched it, liked it. Okay, so Space 1999 is probably gonna be there as a bonus. It's 24 episodes. It took me a year to make 18 of one series, but that's me and my job issues. So yeah, I'm probably, there was this other series that I wanted to watch, which was Adam Adamant, even though it's kind of science fiction because he's like traveling in time. But I don't know if that will be too goofy. Right, the back she made it. Yeah, it's in the Wikipedia page. It says it was from 75 to 77. Kung Fu's from about 1974. Thing is that about Kung Fu, I am not sure if I am willing to look at David Carradine's hairy chest for that long. Or I have to make my mind out of it. Because he did have a hairy chest, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he had a hairy chest. Okay, let's see, David Carradine. Shirtless. Hairy chest. And he was a ginger. A ginger hairy chest. You can call it Harry if you please. If that's his name, probably it's just a Ginger Harry, isn't it? Yeah. So today I learned something. Today I learned what a Dunsel captain is. That's a good thing, isn't it? Ralph Bakshi made animated Lord of the Rings and Wizards. I've seen the Kill Bill movies, and I've seen Delta Force, and I've seen Braddock. And what other movies are there from David Carradine? Ah, fuck, I know the names in Spanish. Well, Braddock probably has a different name in English, but the character's name was Braddock. Like that's the coolest name you can probably no. Probably the coolest name is Nick Slaughter, from Tropical Heat, but Braddock is a pretty good name for an action hero. But yeah, I remember Delta Force movies and all of this crappy 80s things that he did, So yeah, I know him and I know Kill Bill, so obviously. Uh, but now Wizards kind of got my eye in it. Is it an animation series? Animated movie. Okay. His animation looks similar to another movie. Let's see, it's. Oh no, it's not by his time. Alright, no. I was making a mistake. Very close. I don't like his chest. A hairy guy. Look. Um. Oh my goodness. David Carradine, old, look pretty bad. Sorry. X-rated movie about a cat? Okay, now you lost me there. You know, I don't know why the name Bakshi kind of rings a bell, but I just can't pinpoint it. I mean, you already told me he did The Lord of the Rings, Man from the North, Friend of Horses, Son of Richard. That's some Lord of the Rings shite there. It's not a bad name. It's not a bad name at all, you know? Animated. Yeah, I don't know if I didn't say it correctly. Like I understood that this Bakshi guy did the animated Lord of the Rings. For what I read here, Lord of the Rings animated movie. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. But for some reason, this Bakshi guy kind of rings a bell. Bakshi. Do not confuse with Banksy. Oh, he's the guy who did Cool World. Cool World. I don't know. Probably he is. But I think they are relating the work of Bakshi with Cool World. And I just kind of not reacted, but I don't know if you guys remember, I can't remember the name, but it's Kim Basinger's character. How do you pronounce it? Kim Basinger? That actress character, the cartoon. She is wearing like a really short dress, a white dress with white gloves and really tall white boots. And she's dancing around and whatnot. It's not a kids animated, half animated movie. And this same outfit that she's wearing is now part of I don't know, it's like an art exposition. It's called Female Figure by a guy named Jordan Wolfson. And it's this animatronic that dances in front of a mirror, and it has a kind of a tooth, a kind of a pole that comes out of her chest. And she's got like huge boobs, and she's got like a great body, but it's just an animatronic. And instead of a face, it's got a witch mask. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's like a piece of art. It's been since 2013, I think. But the thing is that the animatronic moves really realistic. The thing that it kind of catches my eye all the time are the hands of this animatronic, because it does move every single part of the finger like a human hand. But what it's kind of unique about this specific animatronic is that you can it dances like a showgirl, and if you look at it in the face, the robot is going to look straight at your eye. So this thing has a special sensor, a special camera that senses when you are looking at the eyes, and that camera is going to make the eyes look at your eyes back so that you cannot make it an object. It's an artist. I think his name is Jordan Wolfson. Let me check the name for you just one more time. Yeah, Jordan Wolfson, like son of wolf. Jordan Wolfson. He's made other couple of things. He's got this kind of a puppet. It's like a gigantic puppet, but the eyes are actually a screen, and it has like realistic movements. It's kind of creepy. But Female Figure is probably one of the art pieces that are more shocking, because it really looks at you back. And the animatronics eyes are realistic, so you kind of feel like a person is looking at you, because it can dance and it's like moving. And if it feels, it looks at you and it continues moving, but with his head completely turned to the side so it can look at you. And it not only looks at you directly face to face, but it can also look at you through the reflection of the mirror. So the sensors that it has can actually go in angles. It's kind of fantastic to look at this. But it kind of creeps you out, because that's a fucking robot. And you can see the DJ next to it controlling the movements in this huge computer and doing the music and all that. But it still gives you the sensation that at some point this thing is going to talk to you, because of how realistic it is. Hollywood, yes, that's the name of the character. Hollywood. And the thing that kind of changes, this animatronic has the same costume, but it's kind of damaged. And it's the whole effect, like it's damaged, is on purpose. Like she's dirty, like the boots are worn, and you can see like scrapes. But this figure doesn't hide the fact that it's a robot. Sounds like my ex-wife. Well, we all choose the hell we want to live in. But yeah, this is, I mean, if you're into that kind of art, you might want to go check it. It's just that, to me, what really surprises me, if you ever see a video of this figure moving and dancing, check the hands, because the hands don't look human. You can see every division of every phalanx of the finger, and you can see the palm is a completely separate piece. Even the shoulders, you can see the parts of the I don't know, the engines or whatever, the insides of the robot. So it doesn't hide the fact it's a robot, but many parts are pretty realistic. So that's my art class for everyone out there. Anyway, it's already 11ish here where I am. And tomorrow I still have to teach class. Believe it or not, I still have a job. God, thank you that I still have a job. But yeah, I hope you guys can go check my Patreon if you can. Go check my Instagram if you can. It's pretty cool, Norman. Go check it out. It's a pretty cool piece of art. But the only thing about this guy is that he hasn't done anything as big as the female figure. But in all reality, the female figure is a great piece of art. Not only a piece of art, but a piece of technology as well. So both things are there. So this is why it's so interesting to watch. So anyway, I will be seeing you. I hope I can make more live streams like this, having more questions to talk about. I just spent 2 bloody hours speaking. I thought this was going to be a 10-minute test. And here we go. No, thank you guys for watching, even though I didn't even announce I was going to be doing this live stream. So thank everyone for joining in. You guys rest. God bless. And I'll see you as soon as I post my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.